Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to...
How do Europe and the United States compare?
Oh gosh, I wonder what this means. That's such a big...
Europe. One continent,
Like,
44
so
countries,
space to look
land,
at.
and 746 million people. The
Yeah.
United States are part of North America, only one country with 329 million people.
Okay.
Wait, you put the numbers up. 300 and what?
Less than half of Europe. The United States are
Oh, that's a lot. That's
Where
a
all
lot.
these people come from?
What do you mean?
This number gotta include Russia, I think.
Ah,
'Cause that's a lot of people.
is Russia not part of Europe?
Like, not the whole country technically. I don't know.
I think based on the map, what it shows you, because it
Right.
shows you the green.
Union or Europe as a whole a lot of times. So in this video, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at a few indicators and check how it is that they in fact compare. We've already covered a few of the basics, amount of countries and population,
I like
but
the
what about
silk.
size?
It
The
looks
United
nice.
States have an area of around 9.8 million square kilometers, while Europe has a size of around 10.4.
Oh, it's almost identical.
Well, I would have never thought that.
I always thought they were similar size.
Well, I don't know if it's also including part of Russia too.
Well, if it is part of Russia, it's definitely just not taking the Asian, because the Asian Russia is huge.
Although this can vary depending on which
Now,
limit.
as far as population goes, I don't know if there's split numbers for like European Russia, and that's the thing.
It's you attribute to the continent. So now that we've covered all of those
See,
basics,
look what's
let's jump into a few specific indicators and find out how the two compare. First, comparing the latitude. It's very interesting to see the overlay of the European cities on top of the US territory and vice versa.
I
For
wonder
instance,
if they're also counting, like, you know how some countries have like Antarctica, part of it, a little bit of
They're
Antarctica.
not doing that, no. It's just this continental Europe. It's gonna be. It's not gonna be
Only
like,
continental?
Yeah, it's not
Okay.
gonna be like no foreign islands, no nothing.
as stupid as it may sound, I had no idea Reykjavik was as further north as northern Canada. The same applies to Oslo. It makes sense that Portuguese and Spanish cities are on the same level as California, at least climate-wise, but it's weird, for instance, that Ankara is at the same level as Delaware. For some reason,
Yeah, I honestly, before I guess living in the States, I always kind of thought we were like, for example, Lithuania is pretty high. I always thought like, okay, Lithuania is like, no, kind of like New York. New York is way lower than Lithuania. Like I always just kind
The
of
weather?
thought. Yeah, the weather overall, but New York is like way lower.
But this is based on where it's positioned on
On the map, yeah, geographic
Based on latitude?
Yeah.
always thought it was so much further south. It's also strange to see that Los Angeles is on the same latitude as Algeria in North Africa, but that New York
Yeah,
is
look at Miami. We are like in the like a middle of Africa. It's crazy.
at the same latitude as Azerbaijan. Speaking of Portugal, Spain, and California, how the US and Europe compare when it comes to the hours of sunlight they get every year. Through this map, we understand that the Southwest USA gets more hours of sun than anywhere in Europe, over 3,500 a year. And unlike Europe, there's
That's
nowhere in
kinda
the
cool.
US that gets less than 8.
Yeah, look like overall the whole America gets way more sunlight. Like Europe, it's pretty like a lot of green, blue too.
But why is that?
Maybe he'll explain. I cannot explain.
Because I'm thinking the sun will travel.
Right, clouds.
Yeah,
I just don't know why.
1,500 hours of sun, as is the case in many areas of Europe, those in light green, blue, and dark blue. It's also odd, at least to me who isn't an expert on this matter, how the amount of hours of sun isn't directly related to the latitude of the region. I always assume that the closer to the equator you are, the more hours of sun you get, but we can see on this map that this isn't the case at all, even though we can tell that usually southern areas get more sun. If you know which other factors determine hours of sun, let me know in the comments.
Yeah, guys, if you know, I would also be interested. If I mean, I assume it's the clouds, but like, why is it more cloudy in Europe than here? I guess because like a lot of water kind of encompassing it. I don't even know.
maybe the sea level?
I don't know. This is a great question. I didn't know that.
Interesting topic is human development. The United States and Europe are arguably two of the most developed areas of the world. This map compares the human development index of each US state and each European country. In case you don't know, the HDI is calculated as the geometric mean of life expectancy.
Ooh, Mississippi looking rough out there. I think it's Mississippi, the yellow one.
In gross national
see that
income per capita.
Mississippi. I think
Assuming that
so.
those indicators are representative of the quality of life of people, it seeks to measure precisely that. In the United States, there's only one state that doesn't make it into the top 3 HDI categories, Mississippi. When we look at
it is
Europe,
Mississippi,
only a
okay.
handful of countries are in the top ranking: Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Ireland, Denmark,
That's kinda
Germany,
sad.
Netherlands, and Switzerland. And when you look at
What's that?
And Mississippi is so left behind.
What can
They have terrible government.
Eastern Europe, these levels go significantly down, with many countries in the lowest category, such as Ukraine.
When was this video? I feel like Lithuania kind of caught up. Not just Lithuania, but overall Eastern Europe caught up a little bit. 2020, they haven't? Okay. So I wonder where they were at when I was there.
Okay. So what does this mean exactly? Human development. What is it including?
Quality of life, maybe. Income, like the GDPs and whatnot. Education. Yeah, maybe like social rights, something like that. I don't know. It would be nice if, like, when he did this, he kind of gave a definition exactly.
Ukraine, Turkey, Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Albania, and North Macedonia. In Western Europe, Portugal is the only country who isn't in the top.
Well, at least Lithuania is like in that neon green, though. That's a little the fourth tier. At least we're not like the fifth or less.
I mean, whose fault is it? Like, who's basing this? What's it based on?
Because Russia was occupied the whole Eastern Europe.
Then I guess that will tell you why. It's not personally the country's issue.
Well, we're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
Levels of HDI. A somewhat subjective comparison of these two areas is also depicted in this other map. This is based in the 2014 Pew Research Center poll. It's almost 10 years old, so the data might be somewhat outdated and no longer valid. Always keep that in mind for these types of videos where data and maps are presented. The data might not be 100% right, and it might be outdated. But in this one, people were asked if they are absolutely certain of God's existence. And the comparison of the results between the US and Europe is astonishing.
So the South is super religious, except for Florida, I guess. Super religious, 70 to 82%. Wow.
Texas also counts as the South.
Does it though? I don't know. It sounds is it Midwest? It's Midwest South.
But it's not that much. It's like purple, okay? It's like if you told me
50 to 69 purple is.
Yeah.
So it's half to like what, a third or something like that.
It's over 50% of people being certain.
Two-thirds.
So what, Vermont and Maine?
Yeah, those are Vermont,
I
Maine,
wonder why. I'm so curious.
Rhode Island, New Hampshire.
Huh.
Again, surpassing 70%. Those in dark blue. Only Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts have results under 50%. While most of Europe is much less certain in their belief of God. Most of the continent is in yellow,
Your
with
country,
only 10 to 29%.
I see it.
Wow.
I see it. You see it. I see it.
We're the only country in the Baltics and the little oranges. Okay.
Yeah.
Their belief, Portugal, Poland, Slovakia,
Always
Lithuania, and Ukraine, along with Bulgaria, go up 30 or 49%, but still not reaching over half of the population. The rest of the Balkans is more religious, but it's only Georgia and Armenia who reach the dark blue level. There's a few countries missing from this map, those in gray. If you have any idea of how religious they are, leave a comment below. Another interesting thing you can compare are
Armenia, Georgia, I think also.
Age restrictions in the US and Europe. Age restrictions can be applied to driving, voting, tobacco, or alcohol purchases. Many of these change often, so be aware these might not be correct at the moment you watch. When it comes to driving, the US government allows people to drive at a much younger age. In South Dakota, it says you can drive at 14 years and 6 months. That's kind of crazy if it's true. The oldest driving age in the US seems to be New Jersey at 17. While in Europe, the vast majority of countries has an 18 years minimum driving age. Only the UK, Iceland, Hungary, and Georgia have lowered it to 17. When it comes to voting, 18 is common all around. Only in Europe are there two countries that differ, Austria at 16 and Greece at 17. Although I'm not sure if these limits are the same for all types of elections. Tobacco purchase is technically only allowed over 21 in all of the US, while in Europe you can buy it at 18. Alcohol purchasing is also forbidden for people under 21.
It went up now for to buy cigarettes now. It's gonna be 18.
I remember it used to be 18.
Now it's 21.
I don't know.
And they will ask you for your ID even if you're 40 to prove you're over 21.
I don't buy. I don't know. Look, Lithuania is 21. Not the only. Is it the only? I can't tell Iceland what color it is.
Across the United States, with the limit ages varying a lot across Europe, but none being better than 18 or 20. Although again, this also varies depending on the type.
I feel like it's
well, that's what Lithuania is, okay?
With alcohol, for instance, in Portugal, I think you can buy beer or wine as long as you're over 18, but other drinks do have a 20-year age limit, I think. When it comes to comparison between military, for instance, it's a difficult comparison to make. According to Wikipedia, the US Army has a personnel of around 1 million, counting active troops, reserves, and National Guard. And according to this 2018 article from Business Insider, the top 5 strongest militaries in Europe, all of these maps exclude Russia, are France with 390,000, the UK 280, Italy 267, Germany 200, and Spain 175. Together, these alone with...
Do we only have 1 million military? I kind of thought we would have more than 1 million.
but surpassed
It's
the
at
US Army.
about,
Although
it's
you
not
still
even
need
a
to take into
million.
account the
It's
material
close.
advantage of the US. Ships, intelligence, tanks, planes, investment, and in these the US has a considerable advantage, as we can see from this graph depicting the investment comparisons. But thankfully most of Europe and US are allied through NATO, so comparison isn't needed because in the event of a conflict, it is very likely they would be on the same side. And what about an economic comparison? The United States and the European Union are the two largest economies globally in nominal terms. In recent years, only in 2011 did the European Union
You
have a higher
know,
GDP
I
than
always
the
wanted
US.
to do a video like this because I was so impressed with the animation and then saying like some facts. So when I wanted to do something like this, I realized I can't draw.
Oh, you wanted to do a video like
yeah,
he's doing?
like
Oh.
you draw like when you wanted to like express. Because remember, I think I showed you too one time.
You think he's drawing it by hand?
He has like an editor to do the drawing for him.
God, I think it's like computer generated or something.
Maybe now with AI, I would
Yeah.
think it would be much easier.
Mind this excludes non-EU Europe. US's GDP per capita is 63,000, while in the EU it's 33. But keep in mind, both of these are on average. There are EU
like
countries.
my day and or story time, like a story time with drawings.
And US states with higher and lower values. Also, as we can see from these maps, the US's GDP is mostly carried by California, Texas, Florida, and New York, while Europe's is mostly carried by France, Germany, the UK, Spain, and Italy. When it comes to currency comparison, as I make this video, 1 euro equals $1.07. The euro
0.7 equals 1.7.
value has been higher, and recently its value has decreased a little, approaching parity with the dollar. As we can see from this graph, there was only a short period in the early 2000s when the euro was worth less than the dollar. There was a point where it was almost worth 50% more. Recently, things have stabilized and they're almost worth the same, but with Croatia joining the European currency next year, it might go up again. Also keep in mind, not all of Europe, and not even all of the EU, use the euro as their currency. Another interesting point to compare.
We learned that they have really.
Did they
high
adopt
GDP.
euro already?
Remember, they say they still use their own.
I think so
money.
too, because they said it was supposed in 2023, but.
The percentage of young people aged 18 to
I was
34
surprised because I
still
thought they were
live.
not going to join the EU because I thought they are so used to not being part of the EU. I wonder what's the decision.
I think you're mixing them with Serbia.
Oh.
Serbia is not part of you. Croatia has been part of you.
In their family's home, meaning in most cases they do not yet have the financial stability to live on their own. Both of these maps have data from 2015, but from the most recent information I could find about this, the numbers haven't changed a lot. In Europe, Nordic countries have very low values. They're also the highest income areas, so it makes sense people can more easily afford to live on their own, but it might also have to do with a cultural element. In Southern Europe, the amount of young people still living
Why European map is so beautiful, American map all like almost the same color?
at home is tremendous. 44% in Portugal, 37% in Spain, and 46% in Italy, for instance.
Yeah.
While Greece, Bulgaria, and Slovakia are all
I don't
about
like the
50%.
color coding.
The US
Yeah,
values
like
are
what the
equally as
fuck
high,
is this?
with the difference being that there are no states at all below 10%. The lowest value is 14 in North Dakota, and the highest being in New Jersey with 46, although none surpass 50%. These high values are usually connected with the fact that salaries do not pay enough, and the cost of living is way too high, both due to rising prices, inflation, and also other factors. So that is how the United States and Europe compare in a number of indicators and interesting aspects. There's a lot of things you could compare the two in.
Oh, this was interesting. Some new stuff I learned. Like the sunlight was very interesting. I didn't know none of that. That was pretty cool.
Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.